the camera. So, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final of the PPTQ here from Darksphere in London. John Partridge, Shay Holland, guiding you through the final match of today's tournament. Dominic, Harvey, Victor Vidal. Dominic being the number 2 seed on the play. A fantastic run he's had this weekend, making the Pro Tour yesterday with Amulet Bloom, and now in the final of this PPTQ with his Jeskai Black deck. Reasonably standard, although there's a little bit of innovation with a Murderous Cut in the main, 2 Utter Ends, and a Pia and Kieran Naylor to go alongside your 2 Tassigas, your 4 Mantis Riders, your 4 Jace Vryn's Prodigy, and your 2 Soulfire Grandmaster. He has a Negate in the Dispel in the main. Obviously, we're starting to see a lot of Negate make it much more into the main of these decks now, rather than just relying on Oto's Command, because they can lose to some very, very powerful enchantments. Things like Mastery of the Unseen that we saw in the last one could have been an interesting one. We see one of a burn spell dealing with the Hangerback Walker straight away. Don't want to get any advantage with that Hangerback Walker yet. So Dominic down to 19, going to fetch up one, probably his mountain. Right? Well, he's going to fetch up a Battle Land by the looks of it. So it was decided between the players organised a price slip before the game start that because we hit the right number of players, there is a box of Modern Masters 2015 was added to the first person's prize pool. So it was decided that the loser would get the box of Modern Masters and the winner would get the invite and also the box of Battle for Zendikar. So the loser originally was going to get the Battle for Zendikar, the winner would get the box of Modern Masters, but the players agreed that it was not an easy thing to do, and we see a very quick Tassiga here again for Dominic. His opponent has a Thopter and 2 lands in play, and he already has a Tassiga the Golden Bang in play, but we'll see if we have an Abzan Charm to follow up very quickly. It'd be a good place to have it, get rid of that straight away. So Planes into play. Does he have the Abzan Charm? Yep, he has the Abzan Charm. I think Dominic already knew what was happening and had already got his guy off the table. So
neither player really. Bit of exchanging of resources. You know, Victor left with a 1/1 Thopter, and Dominic left with three lands, soon to be 4.
So,
but he does have double Autodice Command.
That's a good place to be at the moment. Obviously, there's nothing in the graveyard to get back, but counter draw, as we know from Modern with Cryptic Command, is a pretty strong proposition. So Victor untaps, and one of the things with this Abzan aggro deck is it doesn't have many things it can play through an Ojotice Command compared to some other decks that have more copies of Gideon and stuff like that. We see a Llanowar Waste in the battlefield, and we have a first sighting of a Siege or a Rhino, which will get caught up in an Ojotice Command. We see Dominic getting rid of his fetch land very quickly. Probably going to get up an island or a swamp, we're not sure. Again, probably needs to be an island, have a bit more blue mana available. Doesn't need to it only needs 1 black mana for its Crackling Dooms and its Colligan's Commands, and they're quite expensive, so until later in the game it's quite hard to cast 2 in a turn.
Yeah.
And we shall see a Ojotice Command deal with the Siege Rhino.
Ojotice commanded no Siege Rhino for you all.
No, it's basically, as Magic players say, no, you're not allowed it.
No.
And we see Utter End the draw there. We see a Soulfire Grandmaster as well as Crackling Doom. No land to pair with that Crackling Doom and Soulfire Grandmaster. But I think just playing out the Soulfire Grandmaster now feels pretty strong. And
yeah, I think he's not. The reason being he's just holding up this Ojotice Command. And if you're Victor, I think you know what your opponent has.
Yeah, so you get to chip away with the Thopter again for 1. In for 1. Do some damage. And we'll see if there is any follow-up here. If this is a morph, it could be... No, it's Anafenza the Foremost. Now, the benefit is he does have a Den Protector in hand already. And the benefit of Den Protector means that as much as he's having all this stuff countered, that's a very timely draw there with the Jace Vryn's Prodigy, but that Thopter can fight the Jace, and that could be quite amusing to watch. But there is a land. Now, he can't cast Crackling Doom and Soulfire Grandmaster in the same turn, and that's the problem of only having 1 white mana. But maybe he goes Soulfire and Jace, and crosses his fingers that nothing goes wrong. We see, and one of the very interesting plays here that Victor could do is, if he goes for the Soulfire Jace, he untaps with the Thopter, fights the Jace with the Thopter, giving it a +1/+1 counter, and then casts the Den Protector as well. And it means that the Den Protector is completely covered from Crackling Doom and would have to spend an entire turn utter-ending the Den Protector when the Thopter is able to then block the Soulfire Grandmaster and unlock the Siege Rhino that has just been drawn by Victor Vidal. Victor liking his different artwork Siege Rhinos I've noticed today. We have both the Clash Pack and the standard Siege Rhino. One of those interesting ones. So we see a Dromoka's Command +1/+1 and fight. Get that man off the table. +1/+1 counter coming right now for the Thopter. And we'll see if he goes for the Den Protector. I really like playing the Den Protector now. Getting it into play, it's not going to have a better chance to get into play. Your opponent doesn't have open a red mana. If his opponent had open a red mana, I could understand being more hesitant.
Yeah, I think you just...
But I think he has to go for it. Oh, he just passes the turn back instead.
Interesting he didn't even attack there.
Well, he can now block the Soulfire, but he's not able to protect it from anything. We see another land to draw there. A Murderous Cut, a Crackling Doom. And he's almost set up where he can buy back his spells. He needs one more land to be able to buy back those Crackling Dooms, and that ends the game very quickly indeed.
Yeah.
Especially looking at a hand of Siege Rhino and Anafenza. And a second white mana as well, crucial there. Able to cast multiple white spells a turn now, that he wasn't able to do before. So, pass the turn back to Victor. Untap 5 mana in play. Let's see what he wants to go with. He's going to go with the Den Protector this time round. Now, I think if you're Dominic, you may fire off this Murderous Cut. Force your opponent to do something. Force your opponent to use a mana rather than having the option where you're in for 2 with the Thopter, which unfortunately with the Murderous Cut that's now going to hit this Den Protector, he's going to he's going to buy back the Murderous Cut. I like that a lot. Use of the mana. It's nice to hold on to that card for later. So we're going to see 4 cards exiled for the Delve of the Murderous Cut. He's going to reveal it to be a Den Protector. He'll get back one of his spells. Now, one of the options is he could, depending on how he wants to play this one, could get back the Dromoka's Command. Unfortunately, if Dominic's able to draw a land, he could just start going to town with these Crackling Dooms. But I'll have to see what he draws. He draws a fetch land, so that's land number 7. Now he knows about the Dromoka's Command, and he could fire this Crackling Doom straight away. We're going to see the Crackling Doom fetch land down to 11, but he's had to gain 4 life and put himself very, very far ahead in this game.
Yeah, Victor's going to go down to 14. He's going to lose his blocker. He's going to lose his man. You know, he's not really going to have anything in play, and
that's the crucial bit. I think you do it now because your opponent's gonna. They can. The problem is if he knows about the Anafenza, he doesn't want to go for it straight away. He wants to let Victor do something, because right now he's basically negating each attack from the Thopter. He doesn't have to move yet, and he can force his opponent to do something first. Especially if his opponent say goes for a Anafenza, then they can hold up the Dromoka's Command, and that can cause some problems for the Soulfire. He's not able to then leverage the most advantage out of the Soulfire Grandmaster. So what Dominic's really hoping is his opponent goes for something like a Siege Rhino, and he's able to use the Crackling Doom straight away to get rid of his Siege Rhino on the spot, rather than allow Victor to have the chance of holding up the Dromoka's Command. But it seems like we're going for an Anafenza to start with, which I like from Victor. Able to hold up Dromoka's Command, which his opponent knows about. Doesn't want to play into anything because he can see exactly how much mana is in play on the other side of the table. So, and having Dromoka's Command in hand for the Abzan deck is such a powerful proposition at the moment, because it means he can hold up spells without having to, and still, it's a very cheap interactive way of dealing with the Soulfire Grandmaster while still being able to cast his own spells. So we're going to tap 3 mana, play an Anafenza Foremost, and this is a very interesting situation where you have Siege Rhino in hand, and you have the mana to cast Siege Rhino, and it is not correct to cast Siege Rhino.
Yeah.
It's a very unusual aspect to have in the game, when it is not correct to cast the Siege Rhino. So, Siege Rhino in hand, ready to go. Dominic inspects his hand. He knows about the Dromoka's Command and whether he just wants to fire off this Crackling Doom now and get it back into his hand, or whether he wants to use his mana elsewhere. The problem is he can't really use his mana because Soulfire's going to be eating the dust anyway.
Unfortunately, Dominic electing to leave his opponent with a creature.
Well, I mean, he still would have been, his Soulfire Grandmaster still would have been killed by the Anafenza.
Probably, yes.
Because he can do the usual. He's going to untap though. He's going to draw us another land. That now helps him a bit. It depends on how many he's got. It depends on how many cards he can get into his graveyard. But that means the Murderous Cut can then protect it a little bit. But the Anafenza is a big threat, and it makes that Thopter even bigger. He's going to allow Victor to untap. Victor draws for the turn. That's a land as well, so now he can use a Siege Rhino as well, and this is the way Victor starts to get back into this game that he was actually quite far behind in at one point.
Yeah, I think you want to, make this Siege Rhino and sort of hold up the Dramoka's command, get some damage going. You're not winning the game if you're not doing anything. And he needs to win this game.
I agree entirely that he needs to be doing something, and his opponent didn't have Ojutai's command last time with all his mana open. He might not have it this time either, and you can get rid of the Soulfire Grandmaster in response to the Ojutai's command.
Interesting as well, Dominic actually has the mana to start buying back his utterance.
But again, he's just going to lose his Soulfire as soon as he goes for it with the Dramoka's command currently in hand. But also maybe Victor's moved to combat, so he's going to activate the Soulfire Grandmaster. He's going to give his Crackling Doom buyback. Now, the nice thing here is this Crackling Doom is going to lose its lifelink ability when Victor decides to go fight your Soulfire Grandmaster with my Anafenza, give my Thopter token a +1/+1 counter, and hit you for 3. So we're going to see green-white be tapped. We're going to play Dramoka's command, +1/+1, fight. You gain 2 life, that's fine, but your Soulfire has now gone, and you cannot pay with Murderous Cut, because you only have 2 cards in your graveyard now, including the Soulfire Grandmaster. Crackling Doom deals with
the Soulfire Grandmaster is exiled from the Anafenza.
It's true, the Soulfire Grandmaster should be exiled, and Victor's pointing that one out quickly. And we see Crackling Doom return to the hand, and now going to see an attack for 3 and a Siege Rhino to follow up with.
Yeah.
There is an option he could play Gideon, but I like just casting a Siege Rhino right now. Don't allow because the Gideon's better when his opponent has open mana. The Rhino is much better now when he doesn't. We see the Kraken of the fetch land now down to 13. Probably very soon to go 10, 16, and then down to 7 for Dominic. And Victor pulling his way very, very slowly back into this game, from one where he was actually reasonably far behind, as I said a moment ago. So, in for 3 comes the Thopter token, and we are going to see, I'm hoping, we're going to follow it with a Gideon, which is certainly very interesting. I think I might have preferred the Siege Rhino there. Play a little bit more around Ojutai's command.
See, I really like the Gideon, and the reason is that it's going to require Dominic to play 2 cards to actually deal with this Gideon, essentially, because it's going to leave behind this 2/2, and he's going to need something to deal with this 2/2.
And right now Dominic has a hand of removal spells.
Exactly.
Which will deal with most of the threat. We see Dramoka's command as well now. He could just cast a hand and go back Walker for 3.
He could, yeah.
And Victor, you feel's got to start to realise that his opponent actually doesn't have anything. We're going to go in for 5. We're going to see Crackling Doom deal with the Thopter token. So, Thopter token out the game. Victor down to 11. Dominic's going to drop to 8. The Knight able to do some damage. And I imagine we're just going to see Victor Windmill Slam, hopefully, a Hangerback Walker for 3 onto the table.
I think Rhino.
New Rhino? I mean, they're both of a reasonable. It's just maybe more efficient to the Hangback. Well, I suppose if you use the Siege Rhino, you can hold up the Dramoka's command for if your opponent is able to do anything at all.
Exactly.
The Hangback Walker plays slightly better around removal spells, but he knows that he's not getting it countered by Ojutai's command, so he's going for the Hangback Walker for 2.
Yeah, I like
allowed
this.
to hold up Dramoka's command as well, and starting to just pull ahead, and we see good draw. Dig through time, the draw for the turn for Dominic, but he needs to find some good ones, and some good ones very, very quickly, because he doesn't have much in his graveyard. A Soulfire Grandmaster is nice, and it'd be good to get it back, but he needs to find something sooner rather than later. So crack the fetch land down to 7. See if he has a land to fetch from his deck still. And he does. Fortunately, he has a Prairie Stream, so we're not out of lands yet. We're going to see him allow Victor to cut the deck. Spin the wheel. What do we find? 2 mana to be tapped. I think you just delve the full amount away for this dig through time.
If you can, yeah.
like, even if you find a Jace, it's just too slow to the game. He's gonna, well, he only had 4 cards in his graveyard, so he has to tap 4 mana. And we're gonna see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 cards for Dominic. What does he find? We see a land, we see a Fiery Impulse, we see Pier in Kieran Naylor. Now that's an interesting one to have. That's a way he can start to pull his way back into it, but the Siege Rhino's still gonna get you.
Yeah. Interestingly, he could take the Dispel and the Pier, play Pier, keep up Dispel.
Yeah, because he knows his opponent's going to be firing off that Dramoka's command in the end step.
He doesn't know about the Dramoka's command.
Oh, that's very interesting. That's true. It looks like he's taking Pier and Kieran, so he's taking the Naylar parents. That's the first choice. Now, obviously, we're having to talk slightly more quietly in the commentary booth now, because we're not a million miles away from the players, and there are also not many other people in this room, and it is almost deadly silent out there at the moment.
It is, yeah.
So we are doing our best not to be heard. We've put up an additional screen to hopefully help blank out any of the noise. We could just see him take another dig through time. It's fine. It's fine. So, he's in an interesting position, is Dominic here. He's not quite out of the woods yet, and he needs to really think carefully about how he wants his game plan to go forward from here. His opponent's putting him under a lot of pressure that he might struggle to deal with. So, that's fine. So he's going to make Kieran Naylor. Now, interestingly, he has left up a red-black land, which is very interesting. So it's probably come across that he has taken the Fiery Impulse. Obviously 2 damage is very good, but it'll be interesting to see if Victor takes the bait and goes for it. But I think Victor can afford to take a turn. Now he's going to go for it. He's going to Dramo's command +1/+1 and fight. But there is a murderous cut, so no, he's going to let it resolve.
He can't do anything
because he doesn't have murderous cut. He obviously didn't take the Fiery Impulse.
No, he took a second dig through time, I believe.
Interesting. He seems to have murderous cut, dig through time. Siege Rhino, and what else do we have? It might be another land, but Siege Rhino's a good place to start. I mean, he could just fire up the Shambling Vent as well and get in with that. Hold the Siege Rhino for when he absolutely needs it. Victor doing his best to claw his way back into this game that he was really struggling at one point under some serious pressure from Mantis Riders and Jace Finn's Prodigy. An early Tastic are able to be dealt with by the Abzan Charm was obviously very helpful for him. And in terms of the summon, it was Dramo's command putting a +1/+1 counter and fighting.
Dramo's command +1/+1 counter and fight. So that was correct. He could do that.
So Victor just surveying his hand. I think he's going to fire up the Shambling Vent in, and he's going to send in with the team. He can feel that he's almost there with this first game, and in with the team. He's going to see the double. He's going to see maybe the double block. Yeah, he's going to double block that.
Dominic going to 2.
Yep, but he does have the dig through time. He's not out yet. Dominic goes to 2. Victor gains 2. Another land into play. Dominic, what can you find off the top of your deck? That is another land. And he has the Murderous Cat still, which is important, but
sure.
Siege Rhino's going to get you. But there is still the risk of Odati's command as well, so how does Dominic want to approach this turn? Don't put that in your hand. Don't put that card in your hand, especially when you've got your hand there as well. So he's going to tap 6 mana. He's going to dig through time, exiling the 2 cards in his graveyard. He's going to search up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let's see what the top of your deck looks like, Dominic. There is an Utter End and a pile of lands. Not what the Doctor ordered in this game, and we're going to see him take the Utter End. Very good card, and if he has a land to play, he'll be able to do that as well. But we're going to see Plains as the card. He's going to crack a fetch land down to 12, and we should be now on to game number 2 very, very shortly. Shay's just going to go off and quickly grab us Victor's deck list, so we'll be able to give you the exact build-up of his sideboard. Obviously, we've got one of them sat in front of us because we were able to cover it in the last game. The other one seems to have gone walkabouts, but he's going to send in... If he's drawn another land, he can afford to send in the Shambling Vent as well, force the damage through, force Dominic to have 2 spells, not even reveal the Siege Rhino in hand. So we're going to tap 3 mana, fire up the Shambling Vent. Unfortunately, Asher not able to target land permanents in the attack, and we are on to game number 2. So, deck lists have been given to us. Shay, do you want to take the Abzan deck? And I'll take the Jeskai deck. So obviously the Jeskai deck, we're looking at 1 Dragonlord Silumgar, 1 Obnixlis Reignited, a Painful Truce of Duress, 2 Disdainful Strokes, 1 Dispel, 2 Exert Influence, 1 Radiant Flames, an Arishan Cleric, a Felidar Cub, a Ultimate Price, a Surge of Righteousness, and 1 Negate. Now the cards that stand out for me are the Obnixlis Reignited, the Dragonlord Silumgar, which we saw him bring in against Quo in the previous match, the Painful Truth, the Duress, and the Disdainful Strokes, able to just try and go toe-to-toe with the Abzan deck, outdraw it, outvalue it, and get rid of some of the worst cards like the Fiery Impulses, which are good, but not great.
Yeah. So in the Abzan aggro list, we've got 2 Duress, 2 Self-Inflicted Wound, 3 Silk Wrap, 1 Sorin Solemn Visitor, 2 Tasigur, 2 Transgress the Mind, 2 Ultimate Price, and 1 Wingmate Rock. I really like the Wingmate Rock here.
Yep. Jeskai really struggles to beat that card.
2 Duress.
Yep.
At least 1, probably. I could see some Silk Wrap, maybe. Deals with Jace, deals with Mantis Rider. I could also see maybe 1 or 2 Transgress the Mind coming in. As well.
I think the Silk Wraps are also coming in as well. Silk Wrap's a really powerful
Yeah,
card against me, so, but we can see him actually putting them in there at the moment. It also looks like he put aside the Duresses and the Transgress the Mind. Now I like Duress in this matchup, purely on the fact that the Jeskai deck is made up of so many spells that are so impactful. Dig Through Time, Crackling Doom, and all of that ilk.
Yeah, I think the thing is though that obviously they get to the late game where they're top decking, and the top decking is where they, really have the...
So it looks like Dominic might have left the Painful Truths in his sideboard. We can see the Colligan's commands still in the deck. We see him then they bring in the Negate in as well, which is interesting. I suppose if you're thinking your opponent might be playing Planeswalkers, we see Colligan's command coming out. We can see Painful Truths, the Soulfire Grandmasters have also come out the deck. Again, just, even though it's nice and slow and it does some really powerful things in the game, not really proactive, as you would say. We have no idea what that actually said. I'm sure we will find out at some point.
So both players just shuffling up, trying to... It's 9:15. Trying to get the game finished soon. Oh.
A bit of selfless plugging for Pete Ward Twitch channel on the table just then. So took that one away. Don't want any of that while we're on Darksphere Twitch. Can't be seen to be doing that in front of the boss. He would not be appreciative of that. So quick power shuffle, make sure the right number of cards are there, and on to game number 2. Victor Vidal, 1 game to the good against Dominic, Harvey, and his Jeskai Black deck. Yep. This is obviously not the top 4. This is the final. This is on the second of our cameras. Because taking the computer away from the first one, because this was the one match to go. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to actually see how the second camera function works a little bit more. So there's a few things we need to change. Like it's not top 4, it is the final. It's not round 10, it is actually the final, but it's something we're trying to do, and it's actually working out quite well today. So we're going to quick shuffle up of each other's decks. So let's see what the finest 7 have to offer for our players. 6 and 7. 1, 2. We see a Jace, 2 lands. We see a Colligan's Command, another land, and a Crackling Doom. A very nice place to start. Yes, for those at home, Pete Ward did lose in 2 finals of WMTQs, 1 modern, 1 standard.
Yep.
Not quite able to get there again. Kyan Patel defeated him in the modern 1 Grishelbrand versus Nyburn, and then Raoul Zimmerman managed to defeat Pete Ward in the standard 1, where Pete was on Green Red Dragons against Esper Dragons. A lot of dragons in that format. They seem to have all run away.
Yeah.
And I think one of the interesting things with this format is that we have seen the demise of the Esper Dragons deck, and we've seen more of the like pure control, like Jace because it's so powerful, and then Planeswalker control, or the tokens control deck, which has the Esper deck, which Raymond Perez Jr. played, where it had the token strategy, but it also had Languish as well. Shay, I know how much you like that deck. It's your favourite deck in Standard, isn't it, at the moment?
I'm really unsure of what to play in Standard. I've got, obviously, Brussels.
You're coming Brussels next week. How do you not know what you're
I
playing?
haven't got a clue.
Jeskai Black, he plays Jace. Jace, good cardboard.
I heard Jace is quite good.
Well, mine's nice and easy. I've already decided my deck and I'm not defaulting from it. I've done that before for GPs and it's not worked. I've put quite a bit of testing into the deck already. I know what I'm playing. Not quite sure on the exact 75, but I'm about 70 cards positive on what I'm going to be playing. There's a few flex slots between the main and the sideboard, which
is actually Fabrizio's deck.
It's Fabrizio's deck. But Raymond Perez Jr. played it at the GP. That was where
Fabrizio played it at the Pro Tour, so yeah. Pretty sure Fabrizio wins there.
Yeah, they win it, but it's a deck that's really cool. I just don't want to play it.
It's really
I
interesting.
know Matt Light won his PPTQ with Esper tokens. So the deck was very powerful. I had to play it in the Swiss round. Managed to lose 2-1 to it after flooding like a hero in game number 3. But it's a very powerful deck, and Secure the Waste is actually a card that probably should be seeing more play than it actually does. And we see Jace here for Dom, and whether Victor's trying to decide if he wants to let him pass the turn or whether he wants to play this face up Den Protector. And I think for one of the things in Standard, one of the things in Standard is that there is a decent reason to learn a deck in Standard now, because there's so many little nuances. Because the raw power of the decks are individually card-wise maybe not as much as last Standard. Like, we lost Elspeth and Stormbreath Dragon, and those cards pushed a lot of things over the top. And obviously if we had Elspeth in this format now, the card would still be insane.
Yes.
But because of the way these decks are built now, knowing your deck and knowing all of the cards in it and what you can draw to is really important, I think. It's the similar thing in Modern. Knowing your outs is really important, and we saw there Dominic going through so many hoops and almost getting there, not being too far away. So I'm learning my deck. I'm not going to change on it now. I like casting Deathmiss Raptors and Den Protectors far too much, I think. But I mean, a lot of people have said I've been playing the deck now for one tournament in a few weeks. That's my sort of deck. That's what I enjoy doing. Deathmiss Raptor Den Protector is definitely my jazz. But we see face up Den Protector and Jace for Dominic, and he could go here for the Crackling Doom, but it looks like he might be trying to have the Mantis Rider or a Colligan Squire instead. But he's going to activate Jace first. Draw. We see another Jace. That one might be being discarded, or we might be getting rid of a land. Is whether what he's got to decide now is, does he think his Jace is going to survive? And that's the challenge: is does the deck survive? And no, we're going to go for a Tasiga. So Jace might not be surviving, but there is now a Tasiga in play, and Dom's deck's done that twice now. Turn 3 Tasiga.
Yeah,
and we,
Victor's
turn 3 Amzad. Dominic already knows what's happening. He's already Tasiga away.
I think I'm not sure if Dominic knows or if he heard John's laugh. Already picking it up.
2 games from 2. Turn 3 Tasiga. Oh, I guess I'll just have to turn 3 Abzan Charm your Tasiga. And getting that Tasiga off the table right away feels like a very good place to be. Or whether he decides to go for the Dramoka's command and fight the Jace first. But again, it's just getting rid of Jace. And Jace can be a problem for the deck, because he has there's some, and now we've got a Murderous Cuts as well.
Wow.
What a turn there for Victor.
And this is what this Abzan deck wants to do. This is how it wins his games. It gets to this point where it can start casting multiple spells in a turn. As you can see, he killed a Jace, he killed a Tasiga, and he also got in for 3. And this is what this Abzan deck wants to get to. It wants to reach this point where it's able to just go spell, spell, card advantage.
And he can
you know.
and he can also set up for next turn being a draw 3 Painful Truths and just reload on his hand.
Exactly.
And one of the things that you try to understand when you're playing with the Abzan decks is going to one spell a turn range. You're not getting very far ahead. It was the same with Abzan Control in the last format. One spell a turn territory, you could just get run over by things. The turn you started casting 2 spells a turn, you felt so powerful and far ahead of any other deck in the format. It's just unbelievable. And this Abzan aggro deck's the same. 2 spells a turn, you're doing more than your opponent is, and we saw from there. So, we're going to see a Jace follow-up for Dominic, and we see an untap. There are 3 power, then protect, and we have a Silk Wrap, the draw. Very nice draw from Victor. Now he could probably fire off that now and get rid of it straight away. So, does he want to cast the Abzan Charm? Does he want to cast the Painful Truths? I think he just wants to Silk Wrap this Jace. Let's get that off the board. We see Disdainful Stroke. We see Disdainful Stroke, and you can't Disdainful Stroke a Silk Wrap, and you can't Disdainful Stroke a Painful Truths.
Yeah, and this is the thing, you know. Right now, Victor's just flying right under this Disdainful Stroke.
And that's the thing, the Disdainful Stroke not quite, it's a very good card to have, but against Victor's draw he currently has, it's going to do nothing for a few turns, and you can understand Dom setting way up, but he's down to 11, this Dang Protector's connected twice. We see Negate, now that's a good draw, but there's no land, and this Painful Truths could be a good one. If it gets negated, it's probably good for Dominic, but again, he's not progressing his board, and this Den Protector is still hitting him for 3 every turn, and is very hard to block.
Yeah, Dom's in an awkward position right now because he probably wants to leave up the Disdainful Stroke and the Negate, but at the same time, you know, there's still a chance that he just dies to this.
Yeah, and he has a Colligan's command. He has a Colligan's command as well. And one of the interesting things is if Victor attacks and Dominic's forced to do something, or Victor can just hold the Abzan Charm, use Abzan Charm to draw cards at instant speed, force Dominic to use his mana when he doesn't want to use it.
Exactly.
So, Dominic right in the tank here, trying to decide what he wants to do. Just double check the life totals, make sure we're in the right point. Double check that everything exiled should be exiled. And Dominic deep in the tank. So he's going to pass the turn back. Draw for the turn. That's Siege Rhino. Now, in for 3. Now, the interesting thing is, I think Victor just says go and uses the Abzan Charm.
Yeah, he's got Abzan Charm for... Yeah, there we go, look.
We're going to see Colligan's command. Oh, wow, and we're going to have Abzan Charm could be used here to try and... Does Victor say it? Victor could now use his Abzan Charm to...
I don't think you want to. I think you...
Just take it.
You risk getting blown out.
If it's a Dispel. Something like Dispel or something. So, I think Victor might just say, okay, like you say, maybe it is the correct line to just say, okay, I'll take this one. 2 damage to my guy.
I'll draw 2 cards. I really like just drawing 2 cards here.
What, and doing it while his opponent's tapped.
Yeah.
He's regrown the Tasiga, so he's probably going to get a chance to do it, and this is maybe a reason for keeping hold of that Abzan Charm. We're going to draw for the turn, we're going to find Omnix that is reignited. Just means he's going to pass the turn back. Now I think we see the Abzan Charm fired off straight away, because then he can untap and cast Painful Truths if needs be. We'll have to see how he goes.
He's got double Abzan Charm, so I think just passing the turn here.
That's Pete Ward. Obviously, thanking for people who are watching the stream from the room.
Apparently so.
Apparently, I believe that someone is actually watching the stream whilst in the room. Thank you very much, Pete Ward, for logging in to watch us on Twitch, rather than coming behind the scenes and saying hello as well. But we're going to see Negate on the Painful Truths. Would have been an interesting one had he Abzan Charmed in the end step and then untaps. But obviously with the Tasiga, we see another Abzan Charm, and now we're going to see Tasiga. And Dominic able to hold up the Negate, which...
No, the Disdainful
Stroke and the Negate.
No, he's casting
Oh,
again.
sorry. It looked like there was a blue spell. What's the blue spell?
The negate. A second disdainful stroke.
Victor is now going to cast the... He's going to exile it. Yep, let's get that out of the game. Get rid of that one. And he just needs to cross his fingers that his opponent doesn't find a fifth land as a Mantis Rider rolls off the top. That's a good draw there for Dominic. But he's going to be tapping out with the threat of a Siege Rhino to follow up with. But again, he has Obnixilis still in hand, and Obnixilis is a very good place to be right now, apart from if he draws a Mystic Monster and we see a Silk Crap withdraw. I think you could fire off the Abzan Charm, draw 2, try and hit a land, and Silk Crap the Mantis Rider.
Yeah, I think that's probably...
And even if you don't hit your land, you're still at 8 life. There's quite a lot against this style of Jeskai deck, which doesn't have a lot of burn. Because it doesn't have the full Jeskai Charm, Stoke the Flames, Lightning Strike, they're all gone. We're now on to Crackling Doom, Collar Guns, Command Value Jeskai, rather than the Burn You Out Jeskai.
Yeah.
That was always a terrifying one to lose to. So we're going to see a Siege Rhino. Dominic down to 5. Now can he find that land for the Obnixilis? And the land rolls off the top. Perfect timing. Victor up to 16, so he's a fair amount left. I think down to 13 and Obnixilis Reignited will soon be joining this battlefield. Crack that fetch land. Get that Obnixilis into play. And let's try and motor on and get through to game number 3. Just decide on what lands he wants to fetch up. And this Obnixilis is going to be pretty good. Able to draw some cards, although that's going to cost him some important points of life. It might be able to draw him back into it, but he's going to be able to kill the Siege Rhino first. Abzan Charm, unfortunately, not very good against the Abzan Charm. The thing is, Abzan Charm can't do anything. If it was Crackling Doom, it would be a really good position because he can deal with them. But we're going to allow him to untap. Dominic at 4. Can we find another Siege Rhino? That's a land. That's a good start. We can Silk Wrap and Abzan Charm. Try and draw some cards, but we just need to get rid of that Mantis Rider.
Yeah, and I think you lead with the Abzan Charm here. Draw some cards.
See what you're doing.
See if you've got a better land.
And you're going to be able to cast the Silk Wrap anyway, because you can use Canopy Vista, Smouldering Marsh, and the Forest to cast your Abzan Charm. But I think you have to start with the Abzan Charm. You can deal with the Mantis Rider. The Obnixilis is going to deal him damage. That's the thing. It deals himself damage. So Victor, how do you want to proceed with this game? And you're still at a healthy life total as well. Obnixilis doesn't burn you out. Does draw some extra cards, but it doesn't do much else. We see Crackling Doom, Jason Disdainful Stroke, so we're going to see 3 mana being tapped. We're going to see Abzan Charm. He's going to have to make sure that mana is tapped correctly, Victor. Make sure you can pay for that one. Down to 11 for Victor. So, going to see a Silk Wrap target, the Mantis Rider, and a passing of the turn. Draw for the turn. We see another land for Dominic. Obnixilis up, down to 3. Draw. We see another Mantis Rider roll off the top. Now we can play the Mantis Rider with Disdainful Stroke back up. And we see a land and a Siege Rhino as the draw. Victor managed to draw a Siege Rhino. Now he's crossing his fingers for duress. This is going to be really tight. This is going to be a very, very close finish. So draw for the turn. That's a land, unfortunately. So he's going to play the land. I like playing probably the fetch land, trying to maybe get a land out of your deck, but I think he has to play the Siege Rhino though, because he's not doing much else otherwise. He's going to go for it. He's going to go for the Siege Rhino. We're going to see Disdainful Stroke from Dominic. He's going to look at his hand. He's going to double Disdainful Stroke.
Yeah.
Disdainful Stroke, that Siege Rhino. Pass the turn back. Dominic, have you managed to dig your way out of this game?
That's Peter.
So apparently I might be quite a good drinking game with rolling off the top. After Mount Lamp here, Kieran Naylor, we have another Crackling Doom. He can afford to pay. He can't. The thing is, we'll have to see. Mantis Rider is going to put his opponent to 5. Play. Yeah, so down to 5. He has to hold up that Disdainful Stroke, because he can just die. So we're going to go down to 1. Oh,
in
this
this
is close.
matchup, 1 is effectively 5, right? You know, but
1 and 3 are the same.
1, 2, and 3 are effectively the same. and he needs to actually play to win this game. So, playing the Pia here, basically say you're dead next turn, mate.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the whole off the top thing, I did have to stop my friend ever putting him on camera at the regional Pro Tour qualifier yesterday, because he always wanted me on camera to say it's a Titan off the top rope whenever he top decked the Titan, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. So we're going to see a Siege Rhino, another one. Oh, and the disdainful stroke, and that is going to be the end of game number 2, and he manages to dig himself back out of it.
Wow.
Dominic, Harvey levels it up 1-1, somehow finds his way back into it. And we're on to game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Let the players have a quick shuffle up, and we'll be on to game number 3. So, thank you Pete Ward for your loving comments on the Twitch chat. I'm sure you're appreciating still being here when your friend's still playing in the final of the PPTQ. But we have one more game to play. The decider of the PPTQ here from Darkshire in London. Dominic, Victor, may the best man win this final game of Standard Magic here from Darksphere.
Yeah, it looks like Victor's actually taken out some of his silk wraps and put in his self-inflicted wounds. So,
and it's interesting. Self-inflicted wound feels a lot better on the play than silk wrap does. It's more damage that can get rid of a Mantis Rider, but an Assault Fire Grandmaster, but it might be just too narrow.
yeah, that's the problem.
Whereas silk wrap answers all the problems.
It answers the Jaces and the...
Answers Mantis Rider and Jace, and that's the thing, it answers both.
Yeah.
Whereas you against a Jace and a say a Jace and a Tasiga, you'll sit with your
I think he also brought in his ultimate price as well for Tasiga and Jace.
interesting.
So
Well, he's seen a lot more colourless creatures now. He's seen the Tasigas. He obviously knows about the Jaces. It's just he needs some way of killing the Jaces early and often.
and I think on the play he has that because he can go turn 1 Warden into turn, or even turn 2 something, turn 3.
Mm-hmm. And an interesting question from one of the people watching: are you guys enjoying commentating rather than playing in any tournament of note? Yes, I would. I'm going to be very honest now. I would rather be commentating the RPTQ than playing in it. I am really enjoying doing it, and it's been a fantastic opportunity to have a chance to do. And hopefully it comes across that way. And hopefully we've done it to a standard that people have enjoyed listening to, and that we can do a commentary. And bear in mind, this is all still new to us. I mean, this is maybe only my 5th or 6th event that we've done. And this is probably the second big weekend that we've done. This has been another double weekend for both of us,
Yep.
and it's been fantastic fun to do. And would I rather do this than playing a tournament of note? Apart from a Grand Prix, yeah, I probably would do. Obviously, fortunately, Brussels is next weekend, so I can do both. I can have the best of both worlds and have my cake and eat it. But we're already off. Victor with a shambling at start with a bloodstained Mire on the other side of the table. So we're going to see a Sunken Hollow, the follow-up. We're going to see Dominic drop down to 19. Go from there. So.
Yeah, as much as I enjoy playing Magic, and I do play it a lot, it's the problem that you have sometimes is you wake up early for these big events and you play them, and for whatever reason your deck doesn't perform, and
You're out before you're actually in.
exactly. And whereas something like this, where I can enjoy myself still, and still do the other aspect, so the socializing and stuff.
Yeah, because all our friends are here that we know from Magic.
Exactly.
Still talk to people, hang out, chill out, have some fun between rounds.
Exactly.
And you feel a true fulfillment throughout all 3 rounds. Also, you get to be in every single round, whether
Yep.
we're on the score doing the thing by the table, sorting out dice and whatnot, or actually in the back, or wherever we are, playing with wherever we are, whether we're here at Darksphere at the end of the event like we were for the WMCQ, we get to actually enjoy the perspective of commentating, and I can understand why people like Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan really enjoy it and do it week in, week out.
Exactly.
And it's, I was talking to some of the judges as well. Doing this commentary truly allowed me to understand why the judges choose to judge rather than play, because before I couldn't always understand.
Most of our friends, Matt.
Most of our friends, thank you, Matthew Light, for pointing out that not all of our friends. All of our friends do not consist of the Magic community at Darksphere. We do have friends outside of it, but it's the whole thing is just enjoyable, and we can be a part of the entire event for the whole thing, and it's a rewarding feeling come the end of it when you get the positive feedback back, all the constructive criticism. We know we're not great. We know we're not there. We know where we want to take ourselves going forwards and where we want to eventually end up.
Exactly.
But it's been a fantastic weekend again, and as you summed up very nicely, you get to enjoy the whole weekend whilst being a part of a community outside of just the 80 or 100 players who are playing. You get to interact with, I don't know, the people. Bearing in mind yesterday, and we were really impressed with, we hit over 650 people watching the stream at the
Indeed.
RPTQ yesterday. 650 people. And in the UK, where there isn't that much of a thing, something like that is a huge bonus. It means that people are watching from outside the UK as well, possibly watching from America before their RPTQ. And it's just a positive going forward, and the feedback so far has been positive. So if you have any other any feedback for us, whether it's positive or constructive criticism, we'll be happy to hear it, whether that's on the stream, on the chat, on our Facebook pages, obviously me and Cher on Facebook, or to Darksphere Magic. But the table is now clear. Tapping out for a Murderous Cut to deal with the Jace. The Anafenza were dealt with. We have a Shambling Vent in play. Shambling Vent, very important in this matchup. Very hard for the Jeskai deck to normally deal with. And you can have these situations where you can just attack with it as a 2-3 lifelinker when your opponent taps down. But we see the Mantis Rider in hand already. Smouldering Marsh in hand as well. We see a Fetch Land ready to go as well. Which is going to be interesting how he starts sequencing his spells, whether he goes Mantis Rider and tries to hold up the Murderous Cut, or whether he goes Crackling Doom and then Murderous Cut, whatever comes afterwards. It'll obviously depend on what land he searches up, but it looks like he's going for a Swamp at the moment. Well, if anyone has any negative feedback, then we're happy for them to put it up as well. We'll take the positive and the negative. We know we're not perfect, but we certainly want to get to that stage where we want to really, really take it on from this level here and start to make it more of a national thing where people start watching us regularly from outside the UK as well. So Victor able to untap, draw for the turn. We see another land off the top. A really good turn there from Dominic, able to cast Tasigur and Dragon Master. And bear in mind, these Tasigurs are a 2 of, and we've had one on turn 3 every game. Well, not turn 3, but turn 4 this time. That's consistent, to say the least. Some people are very powerful wizards. This is why we sit in the commentary booth and they sit on the table playing in the final. But he's got an interesting choice here, Victor. He has the Siege Rhino in hand already, and he has a land, so he's able to start playing to the board, but his opponent has a Nassiger in play, and has Dragon Master Outcast, and both of those can be problems later down the road, but we see him playing his land out. He has Abzan Charm at the ready, and whether he takes the turn off to Abzan Charm now and proceed, go forward and trying to build a board from there. The Siege Rhino will always be good as long as there's no counter spells, but Abzan Charm, its life, the power of Abzan Charm depends significantly on what's on board, and right now it's looked really good as we have Crackling Doom, Mantis Rider and Smouldering Marsh in hand for Dominic. A very powerful turn here, but a very difficult turn for Victor to decide what to do. He's unfortunately still in the range of one spell at 10 territory, and he has a Wingmate Rock clogging up that hand as well, so he's almost forced to play that Siege Rhino this turn. So we'll see 2, 3. He's going for the Abzan Charm, so he's going to get rid of the Tassica. He's obviously happy to leave the Wingmate Rock in hand for another turn. We have an untap. Draw step for Dominic. We see a Crackling Doom again, so no land number 6 yet, but we're going to see Mantis Rider probably hit the battlefield this turn as well. If there was an ultimate price in hand, we probably would have seen it used, and we're going to see an attack for 4. Victor going to be dropping down to 14 points of life. But again, having to tap all of his blue mana as well, which means this Siege Rhino could be good to go. We have a draw. We see a Tassiger of his own. If he has that, does he have a land in play to play both in one turn? Because if he did,
doesn't. He would need a fetch to be able to do that, and unfortunately, I don't think he has one.
so we're going to see a Siege Rhino. The drain and gain. Well, let's just swap the life totals around. 14 to 17, now 17 to 14. Victor now just has to hope amongst hopes that his opponent doesn't hit a 6th land or kill his Siege Rhino, but unfortunately that Crackling Doom, those Crackling Doom's going to make short work. We see land number 6 enter the fray as well. That Dragon Master Outcast is now live next turn to start making some very, very large dragons.
Indeed.
5/5 flyers are huge.
As it turns out.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter because he gets a 1 every turn. He can start attacking them. Doesn't matter if they die. His opponent has to deal with that Dragon Master Outcast this turn.
Indeed.
I do like Crackling Dooming now, getting in with the Dragon Master Outcast again, just doing some damage. The only thing with being Crackling Doom now is it allows him to turn on the Murderous Cut in his opponent's hand, but you need to get rid of the Siege Rhino. We see a fetch land into play, land number 6. Or we can just see him, either way the Murderous Cut's going to be turned on, whether he allows him to do this turn or not. So he's going to attack for 3, he's not going to Crackling Doom yet. And he's going to pass the turn, untap for Victor. This could be very interesting. He's drawn a Shambling Vent. He's going to go to combat. Attack. He's going to say, can I go to combat? Are you going to allow me to do this? But he's still going to be taking a 5/5 next turn. A Wingmate Rock doesn't fight very well through a 5/5.
No, unfortunately not. And instead, it looks like it's probably going to be a
Crackling Doom.
Crackling Doom. And then he can untap and Crackling Doom again.
Get rid of the Siege Rhino and one of either the Wingmate Rock or the Rock. Or the Wingman Rock, the token. But that Dragon Master Outcast has done a lot of work for Dominic this weekend, and Victor was so close in game 2 after a fairly convincing win in game 1 when he was able to come back, and we see Wingmate Rock the follow-up. Make a Wake a Bird token. Your go, Dominic. What can you do with double Crackling Doom? We see Crackling Doom now. Siege Rhino hits the bin. Victor down to 12. Untap. We're going to have our upkeep trigger. Does he remember it? He makes a 5/5 dragon. He's going to untap and draw that. And Dispel. That's a very good, helpful draw as well. So he's just going to pass the turn back again. I suppose he doesn't have to do anything. He has a 5/5 in play now. And we see a Den Protector, the draw. We have Gideon, Den Protector, and the Den Protector just there's no Murderous Cut in hand, so that Dragon Master Outcast is going to do some serious work. The card is very impressive at the moment in this standard format. Even though so much that some the green-white Megamorph deck started splashing red for 2 copies in the sideboard just to be able to start winning the mirror, but also making 5/5s, and against this matchup as well. Dragon Master Outcast, very difficult to deal with. A 1/1, significantly hard to deal with. The main reason it's so hard to deal with is that the removal in Abzan, as we can see, is 4 Abzan Charm, 3 Dramoka's Commands, 1 Utter End, and a Murderous Cut, and a lot of that removal is not very efficient. Whereas if you look at, say, the green-white Megamorph deck, it's got so many of the Silk Wraps, Stasis Snares, Dromoka's Commands, or you look at the Jeskai decks where they have Impulse, Fiery Impulse, Wild Slash. They have a lot more spells that interact with the Dragon Master Outcast, whereas Abzan struggles a little bit. And as we can see here, just starts to take over the game one turn at a time, making a 5/5 flyer each turn. Victor unfortunately has to pass the turn back. We're going to see a Crackling Doom now, which will be interesting because he can get rid of the Wingmate Rock, get it back with the Den Protector, but there's still a 5/5. There'll be two 5/5s soon in play. So we're going to see the Den Protector, which he could now choose to sacrifice if he so wished to. He's going to probably target what depends what he gets back. He's going to get back the Murderous Cut. We're going to see him sacrifice the Den Protector, and this Death Spell is going to do a lot of work right now.
Yep.
If Victor goes for the Murderous Cut, here we see we're going to delve away 4 cards. We're going to see Murderous Cut, target Dragon Master Outcast, and Dispel. Wow. No cards left in Dominic's hands, but he has many dragons each turn. And he's going to be able to start attacking with the dragons, and it looks like he might have drawn a gold card off the top. What that may be, we do not know yet.
Was a land.
It's just a land, is it? Okay, well, he still has 5/5s. And he's making one every turn, and Victor's down. Obviously, Victor's got 2 cards in hand, but none of them interact very well favourably with the board. Right now, he'd need a Planner Outburst to level this board.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he doesn't have anything. So, yep, there we go. We see the double block, lose one of his bird tokens, and
Pass the turn back.
turn back.
Victor, what can you do against my 5/5? Draw for the turn. We see Dromoka's Command. Well, it allows him to stop the Dragon Master Outcast making any more 5/5s, but a 5/5 is still difficult to beat as it is. He has a Gideon in hand, he has a Tasigur in hand, and the Dromoka's Command as well. And well, Dominic's out of hand. His head in his hand. He can't do anything right now. All his cards are on the table. So, Victor, what can you do? 6 open mana, 2 cards in the graveyard. I think you have to start by getting rid of the Dragon Master Outcast. You can't beat the card if it's still in play.
Exactly.
You probably can't beat the dragon.
So, a play he can do here is Gideon, make an emblem.
+1/+1.
+1/+1 and fight the Dragon Master Outcast, and then he has a
5/6. And he can
rock.
possibly, and he can cast that Dromoka's Command. He's going to go for it. That's a 5/6 thing. What's the top of your deck look like, sir? That looked like a Jace. Well, it was a blue card. We see Jace Vryn's Prodigy. A very good draw there.
This basically gives Victor 1 turn,
Mhm.
because he has to kill this Jace now, otherwise he's dead next turn.
Mhm. So, going to untap, and of course he's dead because there's a Crackling Doom in the graveyard. What have we found? Have you found another Dromoka's Command? There you go, have you found another Dromoka's Command? Because you get to play a Tasigur as well. And the benefit is he could use the Tasigur and fight with the Tasigur, meaning he can make it the same size as the Wingmate, as the token.
No, it's already the same size, so he just needs to make a Tasigur.
Yeah.
There we go.
So he makes the Tasigur 4 mana. Your opponent's got no cards in hand. If you're going to do something, you do it now. If there is a Dromoka's Command in his hand. It's interesting that he tapped. We know now. I reckon he does have a Dromoka's Command because of the way he's tapped his mana.
Yep.
He's used all 4. And if this is Dromoka's Command, this could be huge. Do not let your opponent untap, Victor. Please do not let your opponent untap. 2 mana. Oh, he has it. I think +1/+1 on the Tasigur. You need that to die, not the Wingmate Rock.
Yep. Kill off the dragon now.
Get rid of the Jace.
Oh, kill rid of the
Yeah,
Jace.
get rid of that Jace. Don't allow that Jace to untap. Currently you can beat the dragon, you probably can't beat the Jace. So, Dominic, Harvey, back to you, sir. What does the top of your deck look like? Draw a mountain.
Not what you wanted.
Oh, this is close. And that Tasigur can now start attacking and getting value back as well. And with 2 Dromoka's Commands and a Murderous Cut in the graveyard, what do you
They
take?
can both attack. Because the
Also,
bird is
both
a
lethal.
5/6.
They're
and
both
the
lethal.
Tasigur is 6/7. Together they're lethal.
So he has to block at least one of them.
Yep.
And that Mountain Hand. Could Victor have made one of the greatest comebacks we've seen? Not short of Charles Elatambi's win at the WMCQ. That's a bit hard to win because he is the luckiest man in Magic. But does Victor go for it? His opponent has one card in hand.
I think he just passed the turn.
I think you can possibly afford to do that, as we see exert influence. It's not big enough, he can't do it.
He can't take anything because that rock is a 5/6 thanks to the +1/+1 cap on the Gideon emblem.
Wow.
And the Tassler is a 6/7.
Oh wow. Exert influence. Looked like it could have been possibly one of the best draws in his deck, just not able to get there. And now we're going to see the Tasker activate as well.
Yep.
And any card's a good card right now.
It's a good card right now. And he can get back something like a Dromoka's Command. Or the
Murderous Cut, and both are good at that point.
Both are insane.
And well, that Gideon emblem is proving its worth right now.
Yeah.
Exert influence, not able to do anything, and it is exert influence as well. Exert influence normally says good. He has to pass the turn, so we're going to activate Tassiger. Going to mill one. That is a land. That is another land as well. Oh, Dominic, what do you have to give him? Oh man. Oh, and he can cast the Dromoka's Command as well. Oh, you fire it off straight away, don't you? Victor Vidal, Dromoka's Command. You have Den Protector in hand as well.
He can win next turn.
+1/+1. Fight your Mantis Rider. Get that Mantis Rider out of here.
And I like the way he's done that. He killed the Mantis Rider now, so his Tassiger, which is bigger, can kill the dragon.
Is it a land? Has he found a land off the top to just end the game on the spot? He's found a land.
But it doesn't matter because he can get his Den Protector to get back the Murderous Cut to cut the dragon and kill him.
We see the land into play. Victor Vidal, have you managed to dig yourself out of a game where you were under so much pressure? Wow. Abzan aggro, how do you continually do it? We've seen it on camera before. It digs itself out of some situations where it looks like it is truly dead and buried. Oh, has he got a land to fetch? He doesn't have a land.
Oh no.
But he has the forces to block.
No, he doesn't have a Canopy Visitor.
So, that's fine. Oh, that's fine. Oh, it's fine. He has it. Oh, Victor Vidal. I have no idea how Abzan aggro does this. It's done it on camera once before today. It's dug itself out of some horrible situations.
Yeah.
This should be lethal. His
if
opponent
Victor sees it.
The thing is, his opponent didn't do anything last turn. He would have Crackling Dunes and got rid of your Wingmate Rock when you made it the largest creature. You see Den Protector into play. I think you attack anyway.
Well, the thing is, it's not the biggest creature right now.
Yeah. Oh,
They're tied.
Dominic, Harvey, we play the morph. Looks like he's going for it. He's going to unmorph the Den Protector. He's going to get back.
You have to get back.
You get back the Murderous. No, you get back the Murderous Cup.
You get back the Dromoka's Command because Dominic might have a Disdainful Stroke.
Oh, and Dominic extends the hands, and Victor Vidal wins.
Such a very, very
close
game.
What a way to finish this PPTQ. So far behind, being buried under Dragon Master Outcast, and just at the last, one draw step was what he needed. One draw step was what he got. Tassiger of the Golden Fang showing his worth. Maybe
Very well played.
Maybe getting a bit lucky by hitting the two lands, but my God, that was a fantastic
incredible game.
And congratulations, Victor Vidal, able to take down the standard PPTQ here from Darksphere in London. Congratulations to you, sir. Well done. Dominic receives the box of Modern Masters as consolation for his second place finish. He has had one hell of a weekend with Dominic.
Yes.
He's made 2 finals. Unfortunately, losing this one, he did win the other one. He is on his way to the next Pro Tour from this regional Pro Tour qualifier, and he almost qualified himself in the same weekend for the next one as well.
Yep.
It's been a weekend for him to remember. Obviously, it'd be a bit unfortunate that he wasn't able to complete the double, but Victor Vidal, congratulations. You played that game exceedingly well. You've managed to dig yourself out of a situation. and managed to win one of the most tense games I have watched for a while. It has been an utter pleasure watching that game, and he broke the camera. We aren't able to use the studio booth
Unfortunately,
camera.
we can't use the studio booth
It
camera.
doesn't want to work, so you aren't going to see our glorious smiling
frozen.
faces anymore. It has managed to freeze midway through. We will try and get it to work. We'll click it, see if it works. No,
No,
it has managed to
unfortunately
freeze.
not.
We'll take it back to the table. Wow, that
Very
was
close game.
oh, that was a tense game, if ever we saw one. And to the 63 people who are watching on Twitch, thank you for joining us for that game. I hope you enjoyed it, because we certainly did. That was one incredible match to watch. And that brings us to the end. And that brings us to the end of our coverage here of the standard preliminary Pro Tour qualifier from Darkstra in London.
Yep.
It's been a hell of a weekend.
Massive shout out to Alexi for
Oh, a huge shout out to
brilliantly
Alexi.
Brilliant two
They-
events.
We
run.
hit 650 viewers.
Yes.
That shows you how important the regional Pro Tour qualifiers is, how important it is to have commentary for UK Magic, and how people want to watch the
Exactly.
Magic. And, well, it wasn't just 650 and then disappeared. It was 650 that then stayed for a couple of rounds. So
Yep.
shout out to all the people who watched. Shout out to Alexi for a fantastically run event. Shout out to the judges who survived me. Well, when I say me, I mean us. And we're quite demanding, I would say, as commentators. We want to
Yeah.
make sure we have the right people on camera. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a fantastic weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Have you had a good weekend, Shay?
I have had a good weekend. Have you had a good weekend, John?
I've had a fantastic weekend. We're going to sign off now because I need to go and get a train. It is 5 to 10. I
It
need
is
to be up
late.
in the morning for work. It's been one hell of a long day today. 7 rounds of Swiss standard, a top 8, which in some games took longer than we expected to, but a fantastic weekend nonetheless. Thank you very much for watching. Any feedback that you have, please drop it into Twitch, Darksphere Magic, the Facebook pages for me or Shay. It's been a fantastic. Thank you very much for watching us. Let us know if you have any feedback we can do to improve the stream. We've tried a few new things today. It seems to have gone well. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time for the next event, whenever that may be. John Partridge, Shay Holland, signing off.